Welcome to the most unprofessional sports program in the world, The Bobby Drew Show, your trusted source for everything sports, with your sports experts, David, Brian, and Bobby Drew. Let's go.
Welcome to the Bobby Drew Show. We got David over here, the ESPN tournament champ. We have Brian over here, the sports guy, and I'm your host, Bobby Drew. Welcome to the Bobby Drew Show, your trusted source for everything sports. Remember, we are not professionals, but we do know what we're talking about. All right, not professionals, but big match show. And now we are a strictly fantasy football show. We will not talk about any other sports other than fantasy football. And one thing is we love the Lord. We're not afraid to talk about the Lord. And we got church coming up this weekend very soon. And we're getting ready for all of that. But we're going to talk about fantasy football here for the next few moments. Now, not the last episode, but 2 episodes ago, we had some controversial takes that we talked about. I'm going to give you guys some numbers off of that. We said, or at least, the views of our peers, which are on the show, are not the official views of the Bobby Drew Show or the dog. All right. But we did have Brian over here made a controversial statement, according to social media, that Travis Kelce is a risky pick this season. And the numbers are in. 57% of the people agree and say, yes, he is a risky pick. 43% say no. So, Brian, you got the upside on that one. You had another controversial – it seems like all of our controversial stuff comes from Brian. He said Joe Mixon will be a top 3 fantasy running back by the end of the season. 20% agreed. 80% said no way. The comments were actually pretty funny on that one. And then we had another one, Mike Williams or Alan Lazard. 34% of people chose Lazard. 66% chose Mike Williams. So some interesting numbers there. We're getting some feedback from the community. So be on the lookout for on our social media channels for that. You guys can join in the fun, and we'll talk about all of that. We want to cover 5 teams tonight about these offenses, players in them, and what they're all up to. What are we interested in? So far, we've done 3 of these, so we've covered 15 teams. We'll get to our 20th team here tonight, and we're going to make it through all of the NFL. But you guys need to listen in for all of you that are talking about fantasy football, because we are experts, not professionals, but we are experts. The first team we want to cover here is the Indianapolis Colts. All right. We have no Colts fans. We did have a Colts fan here for a while. Dave was a Colts fan while Peyton Manning was there. But Peyton Manning is no longer the quarterback. I don't know if you knew that, Dave, but Peyton Manning is no longer the quarterback. They have a quarterback named Anthony Richardson. He's taken the helm at quarterback. He only played 4 games last season, so we didn't get a very big sample size of this guy. He only played 4 games. He had to have shoulder surgery he had to have? I believe that's what it was. He got injured. Who cares? He's not in the game last season. So it's almost like he's getting a start over. We got Anthony Richardson as quarterback. We have Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Jonathan Taylor, and then there is another wide receiver called Jelani Woods. He's there as well. I'll give you guys the numbers for the Indianapolis Colts. As an offense, not too bad. Together, they averaged 23.3 fantasy football points as a unit. Only 4.3 from the QB position. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. That should go up. As much as we may not like Anthony Richardson, it should be above 4 points a game. We should hope. The running backs only produced 10.7. The wide receivers produced 24.2. And the tight ends were at 9.5. Sorry, Jelani Woods is the tight end there. So, knowing what we know about this offense, seeing the numbers from last season, And really not much has changed on that offense other than Jonathan Taylor starting the season. And then Anthony Richardson, as long as he's healthy, should be there the whole season. If you guys are looking at this offense, and you can pick whatever round you want, but if you have to take one player, you got to take one player from this offense. Who are you going to take? We'll start with Dave. Dave on this side. No, Dave on that side.
You're going to pick me? Listen, let me just be perfectly honest with you. Nobody on this team interests me at all, fantasy football-wise. Look, who's their quarterback? I don't know. He's not proven himself. Don't draft him. Let's see how it goes this season. You know, Jonathan Taylor, he was a beast in 2021, but like a massive fall off over the next 2 years. I mean, Michael Pittman, his career fantasy average is like 7 points per game, 7.2 fantasy points per game. I don't know who they got Joe Flacco. So, he came off the couch last year and did pretty good. So, I mean, maybe you'll keep your eye on him. But, dude, I'm not drafting anybody. Nobody on this Colts offense got my interest at all.
So, Dave, you're going 0?
0.
Wow. You'd rather have an empty roster spot on your starting lineup than have a Colts?
Yeah. Brian, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all. Anthony Richardson is an absolute waste of a number 5 pick. That guy was garbage at the University of Florida, and he was garbage for the 4 games that he played in the NFL. The greatest thing to happen to Michael Pittman last year is Gardner Minshew became the quarterback. Anthony Richardson can't throw the ball. He can't throw the ball on. All he wants to do is run. I'll tell you right now, I would not draft and I would have an empty slot before I drafted Michael Pittman on receiver. Absolutely. Anthony Richardson, he's just a mess. He should have stayed at Florida. He's garbage. I would not draft JT. I think you're wrong with that, Dave. I think near the end of the year last year, they realized, like, hey, we got Jonathan Taylor. What are we doing? His numbers, I think, over the last couple of weeks were pretty good. I think he's gonna be a good running back, like 9 to 13, which is pretty good for a running back. I think he's gonna be in near a top 10. So I would pick JT. That would be it.
I mean, you bring up a good point. If he comes back to his 2021, like he was, he averaged 1 touchdown a game. Yeah. He had like 1,800 yards. I mean, it was a beast. He was catching the ball. He had like 40 catches, 300 plus, almost 400 yards receiving. Mm-hmm. But then just a dramatic fall off over the next 2 years. Yep. So if they get back to that, then
you got to remember his fall off was, man, he got injured. Well, and they never really went back to him, which I think was silly.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I will say, Anthony Richardson, we had a 4-game sample period on him. So, man, we know he's a running quarterback. So if they get in the goal line area, he's going to have maybe that rushing upside. So maybe a deep pick, like if you spend all your draft picks on wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends, and he's like the last quarterback, then so be it. You got to have a quarterback. But Michael Pittman, Dave, I'm going to argue with you about Michael Pittman. He had a great season considering last season. He ended as the wide receiver 13 on a terrible offense. He had averaged 15.6 per games. He only had 4 touchdowns. So as wide receiver 13 with only 4 touchdowns, that's pretty impressive. He had 109 catches with 1,100 yards. Now, the question would be, obviously somebody's got to throw him the ball. I think Gardner Minshew is a better quarterback from what I know of Anthony Richardson. It's only a 4-game sample, but Michael Pittman is going to be the wide receiver 1 on that offense as long as he doesn't get his head taken off. But if I had to pick one player, Dave, okay, before I make
go ahead, pick your player. I know you like that Anthony Richardson.
No. If I have to pick one player from this team, it's going to be Jonathan Taylor. He's the only one that's been consistent in his career as long as he's healthy on his team so far. Besides Michael Pittman, I do like Michael Pittman a lot. But I'll take Jonathan Taylor on this team. He averaged 15.6 points per game last season, 7 touchdowns. He should increase in touchdowns. Only 741 yards. He averaged 4.4 yards a carry. And he's not really big in the receiving game, which is a downside for him. But if I had to take somebody in this offense, I don't trust the arm of Anthony Richardson, so I can't take Michael Pittman. So I'm going to take Jonathan Taylor.
Maybe I'm a little jaded on Jonathan Taylor because his first year was so good that I guess even if it wasn't a bad year or maybe just mediocre last year. But remind me, did you say Anthony Richards went to University of Florida?
He did.
Brian, remind me, was there another quarterback that came out of the University of Florida that was like a running quarterback that couldn't throw the ball, that was awesome in college, but got to the NFL and
some guy named Tim Tebow. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I like that guy.
Yeah.
Is Anthony Richardson? Is it? I don't know anything about him, guys.
They both wore number 15.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, is he the same style of quarterback? Because that didn't work in the NFL.
No.
And I don't know. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Moving on. I'm done with the Colts.
Me too. Let's talk about the Patriots.
Yeah, let's go to the real team. Let's go to the Patriots.
Let's get through them real quick.
Let's move on to the New England Patriots. We have a couple interesting things here. We have Jacoby Brissett and Drake May there. Obviously they haven't named a starting quarterback yet. Jacoby Brissett is a veteran in the NFL. He's been decent enough to stand in for injuries, things like that. Drake May is the number 3 pick, I believe, in the draft. And so they got a lot invested in him. The question will be, do they want him to start right away? Do they want him to sit for a year, learn everything? That's going to be up to the Patriots. I'm sure Brian has a say in that too. So Brian, he's going to let us know in a second. But that actually, that may seem small, but for fantasy-wise, that's a big thing because who's throwing the ball? Who's running this offense? It's going to change everything else. You have Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson in the backfield. That scares me because they both are really good running backs. Fantasy-wise, it scares me. NFL-wise, that's awesome. Good running back room. But fantasy-wise, we don't know who's going to get the majority of the touches just yet. But in the wide receiver room, they actually have a pretty decent wide receiver room. We have Kendrick Bourne, which is, by the way, friend of the show. We have Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas. We have a guy named Polk on there, Juju Smith-Schuster. And then we have Hunter.
Mouth, bro.
I almost said Juju Smith-Schuster is his name. And then we have Hunter Henry. I'm going to pull up a wide receiver that I'm interested in on this offense. And I'll let you guys talk about it. We would be amiss if we didn't let Brian start. Brian, looking at this Patriots offense, I know you're excited about it, but fantasy-wise, put away your New England Patriots fan hat away. Fantasy-wise, who are you going to pick on this Patriots offense?
I'm going to pick Ramondre Stevenson. He's going to be your workhorse. He's going to be your goal line back. He's a beast. He's healthy. He's going to have something to prove. I do like Antonio Gibson coming in. He'll be your third down back. He'll be your special back. He's kind of your speed back. But Ramondre, I definitely take. I do like Kendrick Bourne coming off an injury, and he's always been solid. But again, don't sleep on Juju Smith-Schuster. And Polk is a great receiver coming out of Washington. And Hunter Henry is, this Patriots offense, it's going to surprise some people, but I would definitely invest Ramondre Stevenson. I think he's a running back 15 to 18, so he'd be a good RB2. I'm not going to have Patriot blinders on, but, to get him as my second running back, I think he's going to put up quality numbers, probably 8 to 9 touchdowns, probably give you 1,000 to 1,100 yards, a couple catches, maybe a receiving touchdown here or there. I just think he'd be a solid RB2. So I'll go with Ramondre, but I'm telling you, if you're in a draft room and you're just not sure and you look at the Patriots from last year, you got to remember Belichick is nowhere to be found. He's on some island somewhere with his 23-year-old girlfriend. They have Gerard Mayo now as their coach, and he gets it. He knows what he's got. I just think this team's going to surprise a lot of people, but I'm definitely taking Ramondre.
Ramondre Stevenson. Interesting pick there. All right, Dave, who are you picking from this offense?
My interest really is going to see what happens in the quarterback room. I mean, I think Drake May is going to start more games in 2024, but I don't know if he's going to be the week one starter. I don't know how you feel about it, Brian. I know he's, he's probably the future of the franchise. At least that's the way everybody's feeling at this point. He's got a lot to prove. I think they're still going to make him earn the job. But I'm not. Look, I feel a lot better about the Patriots than I do the Colts, but nobody is really, making me want to pick them at this point. I know Kendrick Bourne's coming back from injury. Fantasy-wise, I don't know what we've gotten out of him. Not much over the last couple of years, but still, he's going to be their number one. But like you said earlier, Bobby Drew, who's throwing to him?
Well, let me ask everybody. I'm so confused. Like everybody's so freaking out about this. Is Jaden Daniels starting for the Commanders?
What?
Their rookie quarterback?
I believe.
We're going to get into the Commanders.
Is Caleb Williams going to start for the Bears? Like, what are we doing here? Drake May is going to start for the Patriots. I don't know, like, what world people live in. He's 6'5". He's 230 pounds. He's got an arm like Josh. He's Josh Allen 2.0. The kid's going to start. Like, just here's what you do. If you're going to draft thinking that Drake May is going to be in there and the kid's unbelievable. If everybody can sit there and, well, last year in North Carolina wasn't just the year before. Does anybody realize how many people he lost last year that he had the year before on his offensive line? I'm not even a North Carolina fan, but he had 4 starting offensive linemen that weren't on there from the year before. He lost his number one receiver, so there's a lot that happened. The kid's fine. He's going to be okay. You don't draft him number 3 and put him on the bench for Jacoby Brissett. Good Lord. I mean, you just don't do that. You got to just think Drake May is going to be your quarterback. And if he's not, whatever. I'm just guessing. I'm just saying you don't draft him number 3 and put him on the bench for Jacoby Brissett. There's nothing to learn from Jacoby Brissett because he's old and can't move.
I agree. If Tom Brady was still on the team, then I could definitely see him sitting for a full year.
Well, I could see them not drafting him either, but yeah, you're right.
Well, yeah, unless Brady's in his last year or something.
Well, no, that's true. I mean, Aaron Rodgers did have to sit on the bench for like 11 years, so whatever.
That's because the guy in front of him refused to quit. But look, I like Drake May. I just don't know unless I want to see. It's something to keep an eye on. Are they going to name a starter by the time we're ready for our draft?
Right.
Or any other fantasy leagues out there ready for a draft? Because you hate to draft him if he is going to be the backup.
That's true.
And he might go 4 to 6 games on the bench before he starts. And probably what's going to happen if that's going to be the case, you're going to have the fans screaming in the bleachers for Drake May to start. And I feel bad for Jacoby Brissett. But he probably, in our league, he probably would definitely be worthwhile picking late and stashing him until we know, or unless he's named as the day one starter, then you take a chance. I would be willing to take a chance on him.
Yeah.
But we don't know.
I know. Yep.
Yeah. So Jerron Mayo, the Patriots head coach, he told reporters not to worry about the depth chart at this point in the offseason and remain a situation to monitor as training camp gets closer. As of right now, on the depth chart, Drake May is listed as number 1. Jacoby Brissett is number 2. And even more interestingly, for wide receivers, as wide receiver 1, Demario Douglas is listed as number 1. As wide receiver 2, you have also Juju Smith-Schuster. You have Tyquan Thornton. You have Jalen Polk. Don't forget, you guys also have KJ Osborne. You have KJ Osborne. You have Kendrick Bourne there as well. But who cares about wide receivers? There's a lot of, for me, the wide receivers, there's too many wide receivers on this team. I don't know. It's kind of like it's almost like the Packers offense. I don't know what wide receiver to pick which week. So I'm not interested in the wide receivers. I want to see what happens with the running backs. I will take Hunter Henry from this offense. Last season, he did benefit from having a lot of injuries on the offense and the wide receiver room, but he's solid there. It's going to be a good, if the offensive line is struggling, he's a good safety option. But he did average 10 yards a catch last season. He had 6 touchdowns, 42 catches for 419 yards. He did have some injuries. He only played 14 games, but there's no competition in that tight end room. I'm going to take Hunter Henry from the New England Patriots.
All right.
Right. So we'll move on to our next team. It is the Los. Is it? They did. Okay.
Yes, they're LA Chargers. Mm-hmm.
The LA Chargers, not the
LA,
San Diego Chargers. The Los Angeles Chargers. All right. This offense has had a major makeover. I don't even. Is it a makeover or is it like
a whole new thing? It's like a whole new team.
Yeah, it's different. The only person that you're going to recognize, well, there's a couple other players that were there last season, but obviously we have Justin Herbert at the helm as QB. There's Gus Edwards. We have J.K. Dobbins. That's the running back room. We have Joshua Palmer is going to be wide receiver 1. It's either going to be him or Quentin Johnston, but I think we're secure in saying it's Josh Palmer. And then we have Will Dissly at tight end. All right, guys, this is going to be interesting. They had Keenan Allen, they had Mike Williams, they had Austin Eckler. What was the running back's name? Everton or something like that. Something like that.
Who was their other tight end they had last year that was decent?
Everett. It was Everett.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think he's with the Saints now or something like that.
Yeah, he's gone. Yep.
But man, a whole new offense here with your both wide receivers gone, your starting running back gone. Only Justin Herbert remains. Brian, looking at the offense right here, fantasy-wise, what in the world are you going to do? If you have to pick one player, who's it going to be?
Ladd McConkey.
What did you say?
Ladd McConkey.
Ladd McConkey? Who's that?
Yeah, they drafted him. He was a receiver for Georgia last year. He's a rookie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Wow. It's all right, guys. I'm the sports guy. I got your back.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, he's a slot guy. He's going to be like I think he's going to be the next Julian Edelman. The guy, he's quick. He's quick, and he's a short little white guy that got great hands. He's quick, little shifty guy. I think Herbert's going to like him because he can get the ball out quick to him. I mean, other than that, I mean, I wouldn't even take, as great as Herbert is, you don't know what kind of numbers he's going to have. He's coming off an injury. Plus, I mean, who is he passing to? So I would take McConkey. I would take him, McConkey.
All right. Let's say this. Who are we talking about? The Chargers, they got a new head coach. Who's their head coach?
Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh. He's got a track record for being run-focused.
Yep.
All right. And his offenses. Justin Herbert's been a high-volume passer, but he's been declining over the last couple of years. The Chargers signed Gus Edwards this offseason at running back. He's expected to be the RB1, but he's still going to be competing with J.K. Dobbins.
No, he won't. J.K. Dobbins hurt in the first week.
Well, yeah.
That's every year.
Actually, according to CBS Sports, he's questionable for week 1. But Dobbins has a relationship with Harbaugh from Baltimore. Yep. He's injury prone. He was drafted. J.K. Dobbins was drafted by the Ravens in 2020. And since 2020, 3 years, he's missed 43 games because of injury, like ACL, MCL, meniscus, Achilles. I think his last injury was he one of the Achilles guys from last year?
Yeah.
What was it with all the Achilles injuries?
Yep.
Josh Palmer at wide receiver, he could be a good late round pick. It's going to be a run heavy offense probably, but they still got to throw the ball. He's got a good catch rate. He's like, I think he averages like 62% a year. They cleaned house. The Chargers cleaned house everywhere. And I don't know. Josh Palmer can be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
He can win on the short routes.
If if the Chargers do stay run heavy, and if Gus Edwards is the RB1, let me give you an idea of what his numbers could possibly look like. All right. Last year with the Ravens, he played 17 games. He averaged 11 points per game, which is not RB1, barely RB2, maybe a flex position. 13 touchdowns, though. That's all goal line stuff.
Yeah, but that one game he had 4 touchdowns for like 3 yards.
Yeah. Yeah. So he had 13 touchdowns. He averaged 4.1 yards per carry. So Gus Edwards, late rounds, you already got your positions filled. J.K. Dobbins coming from an Achilles injury, being a running back, I'm hesitant there. If I had to pick somebody from this team, I'm going to take Josh Palmer. Last year, he played, I think, 14 games is what it is, and he averaged 10.7 points per game and only 2 touchdowns. Now, remember, that's with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams there for half the season, and a struggling offense with a coach that had no idea. Listen, we called for the firing of that coach game 1. That guy is absolute garbage.
Yep.
They got a new coach. I feel like this offense is, even though they deleted a lot of people from their roster, I feel like they can improve. They might surprise everybody, especially with the coaching change. I mean, that guy, well, I don't even know what his name was. His name is Clown. That's what his name is. Complete Clown. First and last name, Complete Clown. So I'm going to take Josh Palmer because I feel like he has upside. His roles are going to increase. The offense is going to change. Justin Herbert's still throwing the ball. I'll take Josh Palmer on the Chargers. All right.
Brandon Staley was the coach.
Brandon Staley. A stale chip. That's what he was. Staley. Yes. Staley.
All right.
Hater.
We're going to go on. Team number 4 out of our 5 is the Washington Commanders. All right. Very interesting team here. I feel like the Commanders have been in rebuild mode since their existence. That's just the way that they are. So we have the rookie Jaden Daniels is supposedly going to start. Speaking of the Chargers, they decided to get rid of Austin Eckler. He moves on to the Commanders. Austin Eckler, interesting guy. We can talk about that in a few minutes. And then we have Brian Robinson, fresh off a gunshot wound. We have Terry McLaurin. We have Jahan Dotson, and supposedly Christian McCaffrey's brother, Luke McCaffrey, and then Zach Ertz at tight end. All right. Now, really, this team wasn't that great fantasy-wise. Only averaged 19.4. Decent, but they were ranked number 30 when it came to fantasy. I don't know how this is possible. Okay, I did not make these numbers up. The QB position averaged 0 points. I don't know how that's possible. That's got to be a glitch. I don't know. Wide receiver was the top at 19.2, running back at 12.8. Obviously, they had an upgrade at running back and an upgrade at tight end as well, which only averaged 2.5. This is a very interesting offense. Kind of scary to pick from fantasy viewpoint. Dave, when you look at the Commanders' offense, seeing all the pieces that are there, they're kind of in rebuild mode. I mean, I don't know what this organization just has no direction right now. I feel like under new ownership, we'll see what happens. Dave, who are you picking from the Washington Commanders in your draft?
Well, this is, Brian, you kind of brought this up about Drake May. Yeah. Because here you're looking at a guy like Jaden that probably is going to start. They've already got him working out with the starters. I don't think if he's in competition with anybody, it's Marcus Mariota. But he's probably going to be the starter. Great college. His last year at LSU. I mean, he threw like 40 touchdowns, ran for another 11. Solid. But I don't know. The same thing has happened in previous years. When it comes to quarterback, I always tend to go with the veteran or the guy that you know more about. Even though we know about their college careers, you just never know how that's going to translate into the NFL.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to pick a rookie at QB1 for although some of these guys like Drake May, Jaden Daniels, I mean, they're, they went to good college programs and with NFL style offenses. We're not talking about Tim Tebow type, offenses that worked awesome in college, but doesn't transfer into the NFL.
Right.
Bobby Drew, you said something about some interesting about Austin Eckler. I don't know. What's your take on him?
So Austin Eckler, I'll go ahead and make my pick. This is why I'll make my pick. So you have on this offense, you have Scary Terry and Terry McLaurin. He's good. We know that. Jahan Dotson's a solid wide receiver too for that team. Man, I love Zach Ertz, and I know one of us is probably going to pick him. I would probably pick I'd be fine with picking Zach Ertz as well. But knowing that the QB position is up in the air, Jaden Daniels and all that, I have more confidence in picking Austin Eckler. Listen to this, okay? He's old. He's getting old. He's an old man. He's getting gray hair. I get all that. He didn't have a great season last year. He's kind of lost a step. He's not as fast as he was. But listen to this stat. He had 74 targets out of the backfield. So the Chargers offense struggled last season. They couldn't – Justin Herbert was snapping the ball, and he was on the ground. Like this guy, he couldn't get the throw off. So he was checking down a lot to Austin Eckler. So Austin Eckler had 74 targets for 436 yards, and he had a touchdown from it. But he averaged 8.5 yards a catch. So with one catch, with 8.5 yards, he's averaging almost 1 point a catch. All right. But, 51 catches over a season isn't a lot. But I look at that offense for the Chargers that were struggling last season. I see a Commanders offense that if it's going to run through anybody, Terry McLaurin's there. Jaden Daniels, we'll see how he does. But I feel because Austin Eckler is a good receiving back, I wouldn't be scared to take Austin Eckler. Not in the early round. I'll take him in the late round, but not in an early round. That's my take on Eckler.
His average was so high because, like you said, he gets 8 yards a catch because everybody's in the backfield when the ball gets thrown. So he's always, but even then he's catching the ball at 7 yards and getting hit at 8. But still, yeah, and to correct you, he would be averaging 1.8 yards or 1.8 points per touch, basically. So I see where you're getting at there. That's just, to me, that's one of those like roll the dice kind of things. I don't know.
No. Imagine being in a 12-man draft and having the 7th pick and taking Austin Eckler last year as your first-round pick.
Who did that?
And not knowing you don't get another pick. Me. I'm like, oh my gosh, Austin Eckler's here. This is great. That guy was an absolute fantasy bust. That guy, I dropped him like I'm going to hold on to him. This is his week. 4 points. This is his week. 6 points. He's going to blow up 7.8 points. After a while, I just dropped him. Austin Eckler is a hot mess. Him and Anthony Richardson can go start their own team for all I care. All I'm going to say is if I'm taking anybody on that team, I'm taking Zach Ertz. Other than that, Scary Terry, because
really, even what is Zach Ertz like? His points per game is like 6, 7, 8 points.
He was hurt a lot last year, and then when he came back,
last year I don't think he played one game.
Yeah, he played like I think the end of the season.
He had 7 games last season.
Yeah,
really that many? Yeah. Okay.
But what I'm saying is, everybody's talking. This Jaden Daniels, he's great. He's 6'3", but he's like 140 pounds. That dude goes to run across the
beanpole,
get a Roman Reigns spear, and he's going to get killed. They're going to break him in half. He can't listen. The kid can throw the ball. I hope he stays in the pocket because he can throw it 90 yards. The kid's got a cannon. But I worry about that. Like Terry McLaurin, I think he's a good guy, but I don't think the passing game is going to work. I do get what you're saying, Bobby, about Eckler out of the backfield, but man, that guy killed me. I made the playoffs last year. It was great.
He let you down,
dude. He hurt me bad, and anything that has to do with Austin Eckler, no way. Give me 0 points. I don't want him.
You know who needs Jaden Daniels?
Who?
Tyreek Hill.
You're right. You're right.
Because he can throw it deep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So who are you taking, Brian?
Zachary. I'm taking her.
Dave, did you pick somebody?
I'm not. I don't.
You're not touching it.
He doesn't
I'm not
like
touching it.
I don't disagree with you guys. I mean, to me, the most interesting is the backfield between Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
And that's a toss-up too, whatever.
I was going to say Brian Robinson, but that's because I thought it was Bijan, and then I changed my mind.
Oh, well, good thing we checked before you did that there, Dave.
That would be another week. We'll do that.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to our final team of the show. We have the purple incarnation of Satan, the Minnesota Vikings. All right.
Oh, hey, listen. In probably one more year, Aaron Rodgers will be playing for the Vikings isn't that how it goes? Packers.
No.
Hall of Fame career with the Packers, then you go to the Jets, then you go to the Vikings.
Yeah, honestly, it could happen. But the Minnesota Vikings, interesting offense we have here. One of the best, arguably, if not the best. He's up there in the top wide receivers of the league, Justin Jefferson. But who's going to be throwing him the ball?
Right.
Sam Darnold, as of right now, of course. They do have J.J. McCarthy, but from what I hear, he's not doing too hot in the mini camps and stuff. So we have Sam Darnold throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and Brandon Powell. In the backfield, we have Aaron Jones, which used to be a Green Bay Packer. We have Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler, which is actually a pretty decent backfield. And then, of course, T.J. Hawkinson at the tight end position. This is a very interesting offense here, mainly because we have a lot of talent everywhere except the QB room. Now, Sam Darnold, this guy, he's been a journeyman. Started out with Carolina, went to San Francisco. Nothing's worked out for him. He's here in Minnesota. We'll see what he can do. Last year, the Minnesota Vikings, they had an okay turnout. They ranked number 18 when it came to fantasy football points, averaging 20.2 points per game. And then 4.6. I'm sorry. Yes, 20.2. Sorry, I apologize. I was looking at something different. So then we have 4.6 points per game from the QB position, 5.8 points per game running backs, 24.4 from the wide receivers, and 14.6 from the tight ends. All right. So, looking at this offense, very interesting pieces. Brian, why don't you break it down for us? Who are you going to pick from this offense?
Man, I'll be honest with you. Because of this quarterback situation, Justin Jefferson's normally a 1 or 2 pick. I got him at like wide receiver 7 or 8 because of the QB. TJ Hawkinson, I'd have him a 1 or 2 tight end. I got him down at like 5 or 6. I have no idea what they're going to do. I mean, Jefferson, I'll take Jamar Chase. I'll take Amon-Ra St. Brown. I would take Tyreek Hill, CeeDee. I can go down the list of people I take before him. Because you can't trust this quarterback at all. I mean, if I'm taking anybody, I'm taking Aaron Jones. I mean, plain and simple, because I just don't know the QB room. Justin Jefferson is a dog, but it doesn't matter. If the dog is not on a leash, he's running away, and you got no quarterback that's throwing him the ball. I'm going to take Aaron Jones and just trust that he's going to get me some points. I'm just taking him.
I do need to make a correction for like the last 4 shows we've done. I've been looking at the wrong column. The offense averaged 20.2 points per game. Fantasy football-wise, they averaged 49.4. So I need to go back. We had to re-record all of our shows up to this point and have to correct that statement right there. I do apologize. We are not professionals. We're experts, but not professionals. 49.4 points per game as a team from every position. I apologize. So, Brian, you're taking Aaron Jones?
Mm-hmm.
All right, interesting pick. Dave, you got some experience with Aaron Jones on your team. Let us know what you're thinking from this.
Look, as long as they don't say anything about a hamstring this year, Aaron Jones, I held on to him for like 18 weeks.
No. 18 weeks.
I held on to him the whole year because I thought, he's coming back. But man, he just that hamstring injury is a killer. I like Aaron Jones. The thing with Justin Jefferson, this might be. I wonder if it's going to be a sleeper position, not because he's not a good receiver and he might surprise us, but
he may
whether he's got Sam Darnold throwing him the ball or rookie JJ McCarthy. Listen, so last year the Achilles monster bit his quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And I wrote some stuff down. So Justin Jefferson was catching passes from a guy named Nick Mullins. Who?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, good point.
And he was still dominant. He caught in like 40 or 4 games. He went for almost 500 yards in 4 games. Okay. Right. He averaged 22.1 fantasy points over that span.
Wow.
I think he could have a standout year. I think he could surprise you. Because look,
fair.
If Aaron Jones stays healthy, and they got Ty Chandler there as well, whether one dominates over the other or they're splitting, if their running game can be good, and either one of these quarterbacks, if they can stay on their feet and throw the ball, Justin Jefferson could be. It could be a fantasy payday.
Fair.
I don't know. But my point is, he played good with a quarterback that came in because of injury.
Okay,
it's instant. You know, there's no prep, there's no planning. It's just whatever your weekly stuff is. At least we're going to be starting the season with knowing who's our quarterback, who we've been practicing with, who are we going through with. And he made it work with a guy we've never heard of, or I never heard of.
Here's I know Bobby likes to do these pick one. Here's my question. Justin Jefferson, if you have the number 1 overall pick, Justin Jefferson or the field of wide receivers?
Well, listen,
I
didn't say he's going to be my first round pick, Brian. I think he could be a top 10 receiver, fantasy.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
But is he my first round pick?
Yeah.
It depends on, am I picking at 11 or 12, or am I picking 3 or 4?
Gotcha.
You know, it depends on who's on the board. He's not my first choice.
Gotcha. All right.
But he's higher on the list than a lot of other guys.
Yeah, sure, because his floor is a lot higher than most people's ceilings. I got you.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay.
Is it my turn?
Yeah,
sure.
Go. It's your show.
Oh, thanks.
We're just here to hang out.
What we can see from this offense, from the wide receivers, is last season was good for us fantasy-wise. It showed us that it doesn't matter. That gave us the bottom of the barrel. Who cares who's throwing them the ball? This is the points they're going to get with whoever you put as quarterback. So T.J. Hawkinson ended as tight end number 4 with 14.6 points per game. He averaged 10.1 yards per catch, 5 touchdowns on 127 targets. That's phenomenal. Justin Jefferson, as you said, he had some injuries last season too. He only played 10 games. Out of those 10 games, he was ranked number 33. He had 5 touchdowns, 100 targets, averaged 26.2 points per game. So if he would have had those 7 more games, he definitely would have been a lot better. But Jordan Addison came in. He came in at wide receiver number 23. He averaged 13 points a game. He had 10 touchdowns. So if Justin Jefferson is healthy, his touchdowns are going to go up. Everything about him is going to go up. Those touchdowns would be Justin Jefferson's. And Jordan Addison had 108 targets on his season. Now, looking at Aaron Jones, very interesting. He ended as RB37. He had more touchdowns in the game against the Dallas Cowboys than he did all year. Season. I had to put that one in there. He had 2 rushing touchdowns on the season. He averaged 4.6 yards a carry. He only played 11 games, and even those 11 games, it wasn't all of them. He didn't play every single one of them or the whole game. He had 43 targets out of the backfield at 7.8 yards per catch. So Aaron Jones is a weapon. That offense is going to improve because he's there. With Justin Jefferson back fully healthy, if Jordan Addison's putting in those numbers, TJ Hawkinson, honestly, to me, my opinion, it doesn't matter who's throwing the ball. They proved that last season. Sam Darnold has some experience. I don't know. We'll see what happens. If I have to take somebody from this offense, I'm taking TJ Hawkinson.
Listen, ultimately, when it comes to the Vikings this year, it all is going to come down to their offensive line. Is the quarterback staying on his feet? Can he throw from the pocket? Is Aaron Jones and Tyler Chandler, are they getting hit in the backfield? Is the run game going to work so it opens up the passing game? I really think the biggest question here is going to be the line.
All right.
That's all.
Good point, Dave.
That was off the top of my head. I didn't even have that written down.
Genius.
You got some
Absolute
knowledge
genius.
up there. Nice.
That was all me.
To end it, we'll make some picks here. All right. This was just for you, Brian. Anthony Richardson or Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold.
Dave?
You have to pick one.
You cracked me up, dude. He didn't even think about it. What do you got to give Anthony Richardson?
First of all, he went to Florida, and I'm a Florida State
Oh, that's
guy.
right. You're right. Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. Okay. Not Justin. Joshua Palmer or Michael Pittman?
Michael Pittman.
Palmer.
What? All right. Let's see. Aaron Jones or Aaron Jones or Jonathan Taylor?
Oh, JT.
Man, you know what? I think it could go either way. I would like to say Aaron Jones, but you know what? I do feel like probably Jonathan Taylor.
Jaden Daniels or Drake May?
Do I really have to answer that? My boy Drake May.
I'll go with you, Brian. Drake May.
There you go.
That guy's the size of a tight end playing quarterback.
He's a stud.
All right. Well, we've covered 20 teams in the last few shows. I apologize. There are going to be some wrong stats in the previous three and almost 4 shows. But we'll do better. Yeah. We're experts, not professionals. There's a difference, okay? We've got 20 teams down. It means we have 12 more to go. So in 2 more shows or 2 more episodes, we should have this all wrapped up, and we'll start doing some mock drafts, having some fun segments. But we got a few more teams that we got to do. Thank you all for joining in. As always, please follow us on all of our social media. We got Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Of course, we're here on YouTube as well. Make sure you like, subscribe. In the description, we also do have some merch. We do have merch. So go ahead and check that out if you would like. We have the Hoopla shirt made by our own Dave right over here. That's inspired by March Madness. All right. If you guys have anything you disagree with, please let us know in the comments. We would love to not care about what you think what we got wrong. All right. But let the world know. All right. Well, that's it. That's the Bobby Drew Show. Thank you for joining in. Peace out. God bless.